All right, we're good. It's rolling.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mecca of Banter podcast. I am your host this week, Bucci Mane. I'll tell you what, it feels good to be back, man. I missed a few weeks with my coaching duties. But shout out to the fellas for letting me host tonight, man. You guys are just top chaps, and I appreciate that.
Thanks.
Quite a whirlwind of a weekend, but I'm going to be honest with you. Before we get into it, I just want you all to know that we won our Sunday League game last night, 6-4. And we put on an absolute clinic, and it was an absolute
we'll talk about tonight.
Amazing time. You know, I was thinking we could actually talk about that a lot more than the Liverpool loss, but I'll leave that up to you guys. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm gonna go ahead. You can catch me on Twitter, Ryan Butchart. I'm gonna send it over to the dad of all dads, the guy with the best mustache in the world, Mr. James Wind. James.
Gents, how are you doing tonight? It's a pleasure to be here. Things are looking up for the boys in blue. Yeah, real happy to be here. Dinks, how you doing, bud?
What's up, baby girl? Just another great week to be an Arsenal fan. You know, as I say every week. At LCW21 on Twitter. Trossard might be the best player in the world of all time ever. Jesus has risen. Jesus has risen. All is good in the Arsenal world. What is up, Hensky?
What's up, everyone? It's your boy, Hen, at Henry Wine on Twitter. It's a great week to be a Manchester United fan. It is most weeks, and this week is no different. I'm stoked to get into this week's episode. I'm super excited. Winks, I think it's hilarious. Every week you say it's like a great week to be an Arsenal fan. You haven't backed your own team once this entire season. Like, you've talked about how a title chase is like a pipe dream for you. So I don't even want to hear it.
When have I said it's a pipe dream?
Every single week you're like, I don't know. We're just gonna play.
Henry's feeling it tonight, and I love it.
Ridiculous. But I'm great. Yeah. I'm stoked to get into this week. Nicholas, what's up, dude?
Hey, it's a better week to be a Chelsea fan than the last couple of weeks. I don't know if I'd say that.
Yeah.
Tafy4 on Twitter. And hopefully after this week, the only team remaining in the Champions League from this podcast. So, feels pretty good. How we doing over there, Mr. Butchart? Or Mr. Sindobri, sorry.
What's going on, lads? Nick, good to see you. Hen, good to see you. Winks, good to see you. Jake, good to see you. Ryan.
Bro. Hold up, man.
I'm happy to be here this week. Last week was obviously tough coming off 7-0. But then Bournemouth happened. And all of a sudden, the We Beat United trophy didn't shine as brightly as it did the last week. And now Liverpool's back to normal. So just because I kicked it off with Liverpool kind of shows how United did this weekend. So I'm happy to be here, fellas. Good to see you all. Happy to dive in.
I just want the chat to know, Mecca fans, that Connor's upset with me because I forgot to text him back. and I reassured him that I still love him like a brother. But I did forget to text him back. But I bought the Himothy t-shirt in spirit of Dobes.
But you got to remember, these United fans are very emotional.
But Butch and I went. Butch and I went to the store the other day, and Butch was bragging to me about how he doesn't spend money on anything he doesn't need. Tells us the first thing he does today is buy a Himothy t-shirt. I'm like, all right, bro.
Bro, I have to wear that shirt around a bunch of high schoolers. They would just be hilarious. Listen, Mecca fans, we're gonna kick it off with the Premier League recap as always. We're gonna talk about our teams, and sadly, as your host, I have to start this episode because we were the first game of the weekend. Liverpool loses 1-0 to Bournemouth.
What? Wait, hold on. You cut out. Say that again.
Liverpool loses 1-0 to Bournemouth.
Why do you say it again? Like, I don't.
They came crashing back to earth
and
via Bournemouth.
You know, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm gonna let you guys tell me what you thought before I release my inner demons, and give me your analysis. Hey, Connor, can you give me your analysis, sir?
It was a fantastic game. I honestly, My favorite 6:30 game of the year thus far. Liverpool looked like Liverpool. I mean, Liverpool fans had, a week of giving Martinez shit for getting dropped, and I guess Virgil did his best Martinez impression, if you want to say that, and got dropped a few times as well. I think it's sort of what we've seen of Liverpool this season, though. Like, when they're at their best, they're at their very best, and when they're at their worst, they're very bad. And I think that's just like it sums up the season in a nutshell. The game itself, you have to give credit to Bournemouth. I mean, they got the goal and they hunkered in, and that's what those teams do. I do think it's absolutely just hilarious, though, that it was the team that was in absolute last place in the league. And it would have been, I mean, Butch, you could have held this 7-0 thing over to me for weeks. Weeks if you guys would have tied or anything. But just because you guys lost just makes my entire week went from 0 all the way to 11 at about 9 o'clock on Saturday morning when that final whistle happened, just because I knew you were going to have to eat this.
I will say I got absolutely torched in the group chat, and I didn't text a single soul during the entire game. And the minute the final buzzer went off, I look at my phone. I had 78 messages, bro. I had messages from Griff, Dobes, you guys. Everybody's texting me, what happened? What happened? What happened? My ass. All right, it was a bad game. Okay.
What happened is Salah missed a penalty by miles.
By 100 miles.
I will say this. Dope sent me that meme, dude, of the 7 miles up, and I lost it. I lost it. It was actually hilarious because I'm like, God, I cannot live this down now.
I sent it to him in every group message I had. I didn't just keep it to one. I made sure he got it in all of them.
Not once, 3 group messages, dude. No, but I think Dobes hit it pretty spot on. Really poor standards that we showed, and it's really crazy. I was having a conversation today with a coworker who's a big Chelsea fan at Lafayette, and we were talking about when you're a professional, the mentality can never ever have these little mood swings. It always has to be elite. It always has to be top. And I'm trying to wrap my head around going from a 7-0 win over a very, very solid, good team, but one of the best teams in the world at the moment, to losing to relegation side Bournemouth. You know what I mean? And it all shifts to one thing for me. It's mentality. And that shows you what's going on behind the scenes. Why are these players who have dominated the game for the last 4 or 5 years, why are we doing this at this certain moment? And it's really frustrating because there's so much talent in the team, but it's just a mental switch in your brain that you have to have on at all times for me. The offense did not click. The offense looked horrible, absolutely horrible. Midfield looked horrible. Jake Paul, Harvey Elliott, whatever you want to call him, he did not have a good game in the midfield. Our back line, not the best of games either. So all around, just a really poor game and really frustrating for me. And now we get to play Real Madrid in 2 days, which we'll get to later. So we're just going to move on. We're going to move on, fellas. We're going to go over to –
Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
Sure.
Last week we talked about, Liverpool obviously dismantling United 7-0. And Dobes and I said on here just talking about how it was a blip in our season. It was so uncharacteristic for us to lose like that for a lot of reasons. It's nice that an uncharacteristic aspect of our season was losing, where an uncharacteristic aspect of your season was winning, because you're back to normal now, losing 1-0 to Bournemouth, and it feels great.
I can understand that. I truly can. Can I just want to make a proposition before we move on here. If we somehow beat Real Madrid and go through, you all owe me $10. And I owe you 0.
And you owe us what?
But we're out here trying to convince you to be part of the podcast every week. I don't think that you have any merit to be making wages with us, bro.
This is fake Monopoly money that Butch is talking about, just so we can
for years
as a teacher. This is fake Monopoly money that we are talking about.
No, I'm just messing with you.
Butch.
I do want to say
I'll make that deal, but if you don't, you owe me the Himothy sweatshirt.
Oh, bro, I gotta keep that.
I did want to say though, we did make a deal last podcast about if your team lost and you were not on the next pod, you would have to wear a jersey. And I give Butchie props for hosting and being on this pod this week. So
No, you guys know I always
He was trying. He was
Yeah.
trying.
He
with
almost-
really tried to get out of
almost.
it.
No, you guys know, man. This is one of my favorite things in life is being on this podcast. It's when I'm in season, I'm doing my best. I'm trying. Dobes knows what it's like when you're a head coach. You got 500 things going on. I dealt with 3 situations today within the span of 2 hours at work. You know what I mean? So things come up, but I'm here. I'm happy to be here. Which let's move on here. We got Chelsea with a big win over Leicester City 3-1. The goals finally went in the hole. You know what I mean? Like they finally put the ball in the net. You know what I mean? It's like I waited
Holes in the hole.
I waited 6 months for this shit. You know what I mean? I hadn't seen a Chelsea goal since freaking Halloween. It's nice to see a Chelsea goal. Nick, Jake, break this game down, man.
Yeah, nice to be in the win column. Nice to get 3 points. Nice to see, as you said, watching the balls hit the back of the net. The identity thing. I know it's been stuck in my head for so long, ever since you guys spun zone me like freaking however many episodes again. I still don't see one. I do think that our players are playing to their potential now. I think they're kind of finally feeling each other out. It's been a couple of weeks / months of practicing together and finally getting that chemistry up. I also thought Kai Havertz played a good game. I thought it's something that we've talked about again in the pod before. I think he's better at taking people on and not so much his back to goal, which I thought he did a little bit more this game. I thought he also had a great finish and a great ball from Enzo. But I'm still like iffy. I'm hoping our Champions League run continues. But I don't know. I'm not sold on this whole Potter project yet. I haven't really seen a full identity. And it's interesting lineups every week. There's always something that I think is a little off or a little wrong. So I still haven't seen one of those lineups that I'm like, okay, this makes complete and utter sense. So still waiting on that. How about yourself, Jake?
Very impressed for the first time in a while. I think seeing Kai step back 12 feet or however far you want to say it is just enough space for him to not be offsides 6 times a game, which is great.
It's funny how that works.
I know, right? It's literally 10 feet. No, but he did work really well. I think having Zhao sit farther back and having Kai sit farther back and having Mudryk run at balls makes defenders play quite differently. It opens up space when you have a guy that's that fast, and whether you talk about Weghorst as a guy that you don't see produce as much as he might be able to in all their teams. You kind of see Mudryk kind of taking that role, and I think that's something where even if it allows him to feel some value as a new player, I feel very happy about because it did back defenders off multiple times.
It reminded me a lot of like Timo, like how Timo
a little bit
our game.
Now, do I want him to play in that role for the next 7 years? No, absolutely not. But I was really happy. I think the midfield looks a hell of a lot better. I like when you look at like Chilwell and Loftus-Cheek or what will be James playing more of like a center field type position rather than being more geared towards 5 back. I think I like that quite a bit more. Allows them to get forward. And you're obviously seeing Chilwell do that quite a bit. And then the back three have been good for the last 7 to 10 days.
I do want to also mention the only thing that like Kepa in goal. I don't know about you, Jake, like especially this game against Leicester, there were so many opportunities that Leicester had and probably should have scored on from Kepa, like trying to come out and win a ball and him just literally getting like a fingertip on it and then having the net wide open. Like I'm pretty sure Leicester had 2 like tap in goals that they kind of whiffed that were literally just off Kepa not commanding the box. So I really miss Mendy and I can't wait for him to be back.
Yeah, I'd say apart from that, I think James Maddison had a good game despite what it actually looked like. Like I think he was very influential in the game.
He was scary every time he was on the ball. I agree.
Dude,
Matters is gross.
He really is. It still blows my mind that he plays there and like no other team tries to buy him. But yeah, I think he's a guy that you could see do extremely well on some other spots. Dewsbury Hall had another good game for them as well. Had a couple really good chances.
He missed a sitter.
Yeah,
Should've
that was the one I was
I
talking about.
know.
The one that
Yeah.
tipped and then it would just
Yeah.
left
Yeah.
right at his foot.
Yeah, it definitely could have been a completely different game had really two other shots gone in. But I think, yeah, I mean, it's just
Same
a good
with
game
us
overall.
though.
A win's a win.
Jao Felix, I think he's been such a bright spot for us, but man, he can't buy a goal. I swear he hits the post every game. He's had so many good opportunities that he's barely missing, and the keepers are making great saves. I'm hoping that once he finds one, that it'll kind of take off for him. I also wanted to give a shout out to the man that I have on my background, Kovacic. He's captained the last 2 games, and that's 2 dubs for us. I also have always said and always will say he's so underrated. I think he put in a quality shift again yesterday and had a fantastic World League goal for the 3rd. So what about you guys? What does everyone else think?
I just want to make sure that I was hearing correctly. Jake, you're excited to watch Mudryk shift into more of like a Veghorst role where he doesn't affect the scoring a whole lot. But
If you were fully listening, you would have heard me say that I'm excited in the position he's doing right now. And do I want that for the next 7 years? Absolutely not. I think
Timo
that it's going to
Mudryk, by the
take.
way. It's Timo Mudryk.
I think it's just going to take him time to get into a spot where he feels more comfortable, and to see any influence on goals, at least as of right now, is a positive. Like realistically, I think that for me, any spot where it's moving forward and making forward progression, because now what it changes for me is like Potter's influence is not on how these players are developing. His goal is 3 points every single game, no matter what. Like that is his only objective. Like as far as player development, things of that nature, it moves much farther away from that, at least in my personal opinion. You're at that point of the season, you've had enough time, you've seen like you have to win. You have to
he's
continue
coaching
to
for
win.
his job.
100%. 100%. So like that's why I say like personal development or player development does not matter at this time. Like yes, you obviously work on things or whatever, but like that's not his main priority, which for the first half of the year that seemed like that's all he cared about. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sold on him. I mean, I watched him for the first
Never mind.
70 minutes, and kid touched the ball like 3 times, and you know he made one run with the ball that was really good in like the 68th minute,
And then
I even think his assist was a little accidental, but it was
So fucking stupid.
It was an assist.
We were so close to 007. We were so fucking close to 007. Dude.
Yeah, he got an assist and then was subbed out like 6 minutes later. I was like, wow.
I don't think by any means do we think like Mudryk is like owning up to his price tag. Like, but I don't think we're saying that at all. But I think the way he's affecting our play makes us play better. Yes, he's not adding assists or goals yet. I think hopefully that comes in the future. But at the moment, at the time, is he playing well? No. But is he affecting our game in a positive direction? Yes, I think so.
Is he on the Champions League squad?
Yes.
Do you think he affects the game against Real Madrid this week? Or not against Real Madrid, sorry.
Whoever we draw.
Yeah, whoever you draw. Do you think he affects the game in the next round? Or is it too big for him?
Could.
I think
played
so.
well in the Champions League games that he's been in.
I would want like probably CP if he gets some more starts here before those Champions League games. I just if you're saying tomorrow, the games are tomorrow, yeah, I'd probably have Mudryk start, yes.
But you just never know in like whenever it is.
Absolutely. Yeah. Who finds form?
Also, did Felix go off hurt?
Yeah,
I don't remember.
Yes,
sorry.
he did. After
He's
that
labeled
tackle that
46
Doge showed that was not a yellow card, no card
Insane.
whatsoever.
I think the thing with Chelsea for me is the last 2 games have been progress. And I texted Nick this back after the Wednesday game to where like people are still not sold on Potter. And I get the reasoning behind it. But like I said, is like you saw a fight on Wednesday against Dortmund, against a very good team that was coming off of 10 straight wins. So like the players are playing for him. So that's like what I think we hadn't seen prior to that. I think what'll be interesting to see with Chelsea is this sort of, the Conte easing back. And I texted you guys this a little bit this weekend about when Conte is healthy. Like I watched Enzo and Kovacic play, and I thought Kovacic was miles better than him this weekend, like miles. Kovacic was in the team of the week this week, 8.7 match rating, like affected the game way more, scored. I'm curious your thoughts on how the midfield shakes out when Conte's healthy. because I think Zhao is unreal as a 10, and I think he can affect the play so much from there because he's great on the ball, dropping in. Kovacic is almost undroppable at this moment. Enzo is more of an 8, which I think a role that Kovacic excels in. And you have Conte can be the 6. So I'm curious, like right now, say moving forward, say Conte is fully healthy. He's Conte of old when he comes back healthy. Like, what is your midfield 3?
I think you bring very good, valid points. I think I would want to see Conte like fully healthy before and like actually playing before I make that decision because he is coming off a substantial injury. So like I don't think you can just automatically replace Enzo. I do think that is who you would replace. I think you bring a good point. I think I once again love Kovacic and think he's a perfect role for that position. And then obviously João Felix as an attacking threat, I think has been the best we've seen in a long time for us. And so I do think if Conte were to come back and start putting in good performance, Enzo would be the one that I would probably replace him with. But that's if he comes back and puts in shifts, which I think he will, which I definitely think he will, but we'll see. And to be fair, I think it provides competition as well. So like something start fighting for, something
unreal problem to have.
And Kovacic start fighting for as well.
Hey, you have arguably the best. Yeah. Hey, you have arguably the best CDM in the world when he's on, coming back healthy. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's the tough part is with realistically how much he's missed and how much he was pushed into the last bit of playing that he had. Like really realistic came back, and I'm pretty sure when I looked his first game he played like 65 minutes and then it went to straight into 90 minutes every single night or every single weekend. And it'll be a lot, hopefully is what happens is that Potter actually takes his time to bring him back. Realistically, the dude's missed so much time. Like, to be quite honest, like I don't expect him to get back to 100% full health. Like just realistically with how much he's missed over the last 2 years, 3 years, like it's tough to say that he's going to do that. But then you also look at Chilwell and you look at James that have kind of lived in that same camp. So like realistically, like I still like Enzo and Kovacic just with Conte's age. It's kind of realistically like passing the guard and moving forward. And those are going to be your guys. Because realistically, having Conte come on in games where you need to hold teams off or whatever it might be could be huge. And then you can realistically play all 3 or really even mix João in at that 10 spot or really take João and play him as an actual forward or whatever you want to do. You can play so many guys through there and it's just depth. And I think
great problem to have. Dope said it best.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think that's it, and obviously the whole goal here would be to continue winning games, and you don't want to switch Kovacic and Enzo. You know?
Yeah, 100%, man. Some great analysis from our Chelsea experts there. Cheers, mates. I know the young Goov Hoove is not here today, but we're gonna show the kids. We're gonna show the kids some love, and we're gonna talk briefly about Spurs because they did have a very, very good win in terms of their solidity in the top 4 by beating Nottingham Forest 3-1. Harry Kane double and Sonny got on the score sheet. And I will firmly read this text from Hoovy goes, you effers better not, you effers better talk about Richarlison. So we're going to talk about Richarlison. Who?
Still no goals in the Premier League.
Still no goals.
Still no goals.
I will say I told Hoove I'd give, after he sent that, I'd give Richarlison a shout because I did watch those highlights. I didn't get to watch the entire game, but I watched the extended highlights. One, I thought Richarlison was on his goal. It was a great goal.
Oh, that was an insane call.
I thought that the assist was a good assist as well, and I thought that he was. I thought he had a good game, so I think Richarlison does deserve a shout here, and so shout out Hoove on that.
Yeah, he put in an absolute shift. He had an 8.5 match rating in a game where he didn't score. So that's pretty impressive already in itself. You know, usually you get those higher ratings when you're bagging goals. No, just a big win for them.
I have to mention it because I sent it. I don't know if you guys saw what I sent. It's Richarlison has scored 2 league goals this season, both against Forest. Took his shirt off in both goals. Got booked after that in both games. Both goals were called for offsides.
That's awesome. That's great.
That is just not a great look.
Oh my goodness.
I have an official quote from Hoove as well. He mentioned to Dobes and me that Spurs are the hardest team in the world to support, and rooting for fourth is so much fun. It's like week by week for Tottenham. What's funny is, if you look at even not just the guys on field, but the guys off field. They made 3 subs. All came after the 84th minute. So like they've stayed consistent with like not making any subs at all. It's nuts. But Harry Kane, just class performance. It's what you want out of your striker, and he's a really good one. So good for them.
100%, man. And shout out once again to the young Goov Hoove, top 17 funniest people I know.
17, what an interesting number there.
We miss you, bro, and we'll see you next week. We're going to now transition into the young kid himself, Lucas Winkleman, his Arsenal Gooners, with a 3-0 win over Fulham away from home, which is not an easy place to play Fulham. And they walked them off the field. And Winks, break this down, sir.
Happily. First of all, I want to shout out a couple Gooners because the London Football Awards were last week, and it was a clean sweep for the Gooners in the men's categories. Odegaard won Player of the Year, Saka won Young Player of the Year, Aaron Ramsdale won Keeper of the Year, and our gaffer, Mikel Arteta, won Manager of the Year.
3/4 of the way through the season they did this?
Yeah, I don't ask me how or why they do the awards when they do it, but nonetheless, London has never been more red, and it's not even a discussion.
They haven't won anything.
Shit,
Nick,
you, bro.
Nick, here's the deal, buddy. Nick, here's the deal. Let me finish my little spiel about these awards,
right,
and then I also wanted to shout out Sam Kerr and Lauren James from the Chelsea women's team, who won the best women's player and best young women's player in the league. So, suck on that, Nick. Now on to the game.
But it doesn't fit the agenda. It doesn't fit the agenda.
3-0 versus Fulham. 100 career wins for Mikel Arteta, so shouts to him. I think that Sunday was an all-around Arteta ball masterclass at the Craven Cottage, and like Butch said, not an easy place to play away at. One of my personal favorite stadiums that I've been fortunate enough to visit in person, but I think it was a very convincing win against a team that's given, a lot of the Big Six clubs this year some trouble. Goals by Gabriel Martinelli, and our captain, Martin Odegaard. Special shout to Odegaard's goal as well. For those of you who watched it, we know how good he is in tight spaces and how composed he is, but that was like a perfect example of that.
The shot
Bringing the ball down
he does is unbelievable. He does it so
stupid.
often and so consistently, and it works literally 80% of the time.
Yeah. Bringing the ball down with his thigh like that, with like 5 guys around him near the penalty spot, and having the composure to put it far side on Leno definitely had me grinning. Man of the match, though, by a mile for me was Leandro Trossard, hat trick of assists. And in Odegaard's post-game interview, he talked a whole lot about his impact to the team since we signed him in January. And obviously, everybody on the team is super stoked to have him. But I think that having both of those guys who are so composed on the ball and so great in tight spaces looking for the right passes, I think is just super dangerous. Gabriel Jesus has risen as well, made his return as well, finally. And I think I speak for all Arsenal fans when I say that I was extremely ecstatic ahead of the game on Sunday, and even more ecstatic when we got to watch him walk on the pitch for the first time since before the World Cup towards the end of the second half. And I wasn't expecting a whole lot, to be honest, from him. I figured his first touch.
Yeah, he could have scored.
I figured his first touch would probably be a little rusty, but yeah, had a great opportunity on goal. And I think that just his presence on the field elevates us so much. So very, very excited to have him back as well. I will say Fulham didn't go down without a fight, which was kind of cool to see. I don't know if any of you guys watched the game, but they had a few really good chances in the second half. Ramsdale made a few really big saves, and then they had that one that went off the crossbar. But, nonetheless, a statement win for us. I feel like every one of these games that we continue to win or get points from becomes just that much more of an important game. And so, I think Crystal Palace is obviously the next super important one next weekend in terms of the Premier League. But I think that the win yesterday is something that we can take the attitude from into our game against Sporting on Thursday. And then, like I said, Crystal Palace at the weekend. So Great week to be a Gooner.
Huge win for you guys. I will shout out Trossard. I read something today. Paul Merson, who's an Arsenal legend, had a quote today. I found it really interesting. He said, "What Arsenal paid $30 million for Trossard, and that he said that boy could walk into Manchester City's team right now and fit right in." And when I read that, I was like, the impact he's had and the price you paid to get him, it's an unbelievable signing. I know we talked about it in the past, but I think his impact was just clear as day. What he did
makes our Mudryk signing look like shit.
I mean,
well, it goes back, yeah, and that's the crazy part is I talked about it with Nate on our Mecca Moments. We've talked about it on a couple podcasts, but us losing out on Mudryk to Chelsea, obviously was the catalyst for us being able to get him. And it all goes back to being Premier League proven, and I think that that's the difference between those two players right now. Obviously, their skill set's a lot different, but yeah, happy that we knew what we were getting when we signed him and happy that he's meshed so well. Obviously, he looks like he's been here for a couple years already.
Yeah.
Something else I want to mention is obviously big points for you to win. Big dropped points for Fulham though, like in top six European implications. I mean, Brentford also dropped points this weekend as well, but we've talked for several weeks now about like Fulham, Brentford, Brighton, all the teams in that that spot in the table. Really big drop 3 points, and unfortunately, it came at the expense of Anthony Robinson looking terrible. I don't even think that it was Saka's best game by any stretch of the imagination, and Robinson was at fault for a lot of Arsenal attacks. So
the header, he just bent
he
over.
just didn't defend. It was really weird.
It's like Trent.
Yeah, so big drop points for them. So cheers to you, Arsenal winning, but. For Fulham.
Yeah, he almost had an own goal too, pretty early on that got called back. I know Martinelli was a bit offsides in the build-up, but yeah, that sucks. As an American to see that 3 goals put in on Robinson and Ream, and then even Leno, who's an ex-Arsenal keeper. But I will take the 3 points.
As we all will, sir.
The last thing I kind of want to shout out. I don't know if you guys saw Ream before the match. Tim Ream with the noise canceling headphones to sort of match his mascot. I thought that was pretty cool. He's been getting praised everywhere, but just a St. Louis boy, just showing how classy he is.
All the time.
Wearing the noise canceling headphones as he walked out in the field.
Unbelievable.
Awesome.
Himothy Ream, bro.
Himothy Ream.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to transition to the United game. Manchester United. Very unexpected draw with Southampton 0-0. Quite a few crazy events that took place. We got a red card to discuss. We've got some missed chances to discuss. We've got a Rashford dive. We've got it all.
He was clipped.
Cap.
I think we just have to sort of start with the red because it was the defining moment of the game. I mean, before the red, we were in clear dominance. Had most of the ball. We're cruising along. Had a few good chances. I think the nature of how it happened, I think it is a red card. You can't be upset that that's given. I think, and I've said this to you guys all the time, I think the frustration comes with just the inconsistency in the refereeing. I 1000% agree that if that's me and that tackle happens, I'm screaming for a red card and probably also expecting one if it's me. But then you look at the Premier League game before, we had Paul Mariner, who is the VAR referee. The same thing happens to João Felix. It's not even rude. There's not a card given. And he's sitting up in a booth, and it was given a yellow. The ball flicked his foot up, gives him a red card. And that was just a drastic change of the game. And now he misses 4 games for that. We can go into the handball if we want. I think the main consistency, I don't want to talk too much about the refereeing because I don't think it it did have an effect on the game. But I still think we should have won. But there's just so many calls, and I now understand Chelsea fans' pain with fucking Anthony Taylor because he is fucking dog shit. He is fucking dog shit. He does not deserve to be refereeing in the Premier League. He completely ruined that game. Missed the handball. That's Henry's background. But with all that said, we still should have won the game. We 1000% still should have won the game. I could argue that we got a little bit better when we were down to 10 men. We kept the ball a little bit better than we were keeping with 11 guys. We were trying to counter too much. Chances were created. We just didn't convert. We truthfully just didn't convert. We hit the post. What's their goalie's name?
Zunu.
Gavin
Made some
Bazunu.
great saves.
Was unbelievable. Like
So
the,
did-
the,
I
sa-
was-
the save on Bruno where he whipped that ball to the back post and he just got barely a hand on it and it hit the post. Like he stood on their head. So it's a big 2 points earned for them and it's a massive 2 points dropped for us. It happens. Those games happen. I think the bigger concern for me is moving forward because without Casemiro, we have seen the drop off. Like we've seen the drop off that goes through our midfield, and we saw it even in the game with McTominay doing whatever the fuck he called what running around on that field. The drop off is massive, and especially with the 4 games that we have coming up, it's concerning for sure because we just know that the drastic lack of bench that we have. I also think it's crazy that Casemiro never in his entire career at Real Madrid got a straight red. In his last 3 Premier League games, he has 2, which is absolutely insane. So, I mean, tough to drop 2 points. We move on. Concern for what's to go forward, but is what it is.
Who are your guys' next few games? I'm excited to see Scotty
Yeah.
play hide and seek in the midfield.
We play Betis, Brighton, Fulham, Newcastle, Brentford. So it is a tough run of games.
Fulham and Newcastle back to back will be interesting. Is Fulham away as well?
Fulham's at home. We
Okay.
squeaked that like 1-0 like Garnacho 91st minute winner away at the Cottage. But we get them at home this time. But they're another team that's just you never know what you're going to get. They're always tough to play against.
Is Batiste at home this time? I can't remember if you played him away first or not.
Batiste is away. But that,
Okay.
that first leg was massive though, just to go up 4-1 to like hopefully be able to give some guys some rest. Moving into the second leg, but we'll see.
Yeah, I was gonna say if it was at home, they're gonna have to do a lot of cleanup at Old Trafford to get all that piss off the bathroom floors everywhere.
Wasn't that insane? Wasn't that insane?
That's
Yeah, I
wild.
was like,
Glazers out, baby.
yeah.
I was
yeah.
piggybacking off Dobes. You gave Southampton's goalie a shout. I also want to give Dave Saves a shout as well. I think he's been inconsistent, but I also saw some pretty spectacular saves out of him as well because Southampton had some chances and also hit the post. So I thought he played well.
He's an interesting one because
so weird.
United fan base is almost so split because there's fans like me who he's been here for 10 years.
He's
played
got
the
a
most
mistake in him.
games. He's played the most games as a goalie in United history. He's got the most shutouts as a goalie in United history. So like I'm one of those that like let's get 2 more years out of and then move on. But then there's the other side of the Man United fan base who wants him gone yesterday, who has wanted him out forever. So it's that fine line between do we just roll with him because he's a legend or do we actually try to go spend money and upgrade? I don't know the right answer.
Yeah, I mean, I think to be honest with you, I think De Gea is fine. I think we need to address other areas of the field before we address the goalkeeper. And if Ten Hag in the summer is like, no, we actually need to spend 60 million on Diogo Costa from Porto, whatever. If that's what he thinks we need to do, but I would rather get another center back, get a striker, get an 8, and call it like a good transfer window. I think your summation of the game, Dobes, was spot on from my end as well. My worry is not only with Casemiro, but Garnacho got taken down on a dirty like scissor tackle in the box.
No card.
No foul, no review. Injured him on a dirty tackle. And
You
nothing.
can't do the scissor tackle. Don't shake your heads. You can't do that. That's what Ericsson's out for 6 months with because you got scissor tackled.
So
I'm not shaking my head at that.
I say that because, he got subbed on late in the game to provide some energy, and then he had to get subbed off because of the injury. He's one of our players that we would play against Betis. He's one of our players that we would play against Fulham. And if he's actually out long term, that's a problem too. So it's like the injuries and the suspensions and all of that. It's a lot when you look at the competitions that we're left in. So my worry isn't only with Casemiro and those players, it's the rest of them too. But what I do feel good about is Ten Hag has shown again that he can handle situations. He can handle maneuvering different systems. I wouldn't be surprised that if some point we see Martinez as a 6. I wouldn't be surprised to see it at all.
He could kill it there.
Dude, he'd be so good.
Kill it there.
He's so class on the ball. But I also felt a little bit for Weghorst in this game, getting yanked off in the 44th. Happens because of the red, but just a little bit tough done on that. It's a tough one. Like you said, we move.
That's the one thing you brought up, Hen, is my concern when we lost Casemiro for the first 3 games was I wanted 7 points and we got 7 points. We won twice and we tied a very tough Leeds team. So like that's what has me still a little bit confident that Ten Hag can figure it out because he has before. When we had a tough run of games then and we have a tough run of games now, Casemiro, obviously, we know how important he is to our team, but at the same time, our most important piece has been Ten Hag all year. So, like, we just have to continue to back him until he gives us a reason not to.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, I can imagine that it's frustrating with inconsistencies in refereeing because, like, I do agree that the João Felix was an absolute whore tackle. Like that's a Sunday league.
Dude, not even a carded
thing,
with the same
Nothing.
referee on VAR. With the
Yeah, well,
same exact ref on VAR.
It's happened all season long. And it's not just United, it's not just Chelsea, it's everyone where they've had situations. The handball that is my background. What was it earlier in the season where someone took a shot? It was Chelsea. Conor Gallagher took a shot, and whoever blocked it
Didn't call it.
Suchek
didn't call it. It was a little bit closer in distance, but still plenty far away to move. And same thing
way
with
farther
this,
in
like
distance.
Rashford was literally outside of the box, crossed the ball, 15, 20 yards, and the guy not only puts his hand down, but then he pulls it right back up after he touches the ball, and again, doesn't even get reviewed. So I think the frustration with VAR is the constant thing that it's brought. And this part of the podcast isn't just like a VAR problem, but for everything that VAR was supposed to promise, it's actually just like robbed a lot from the game.
Absolutely.
And it's gotten more things wrong than gotten right. It's so frustrating. So,
Kills the momentum of the game too.
100%. 100%.
I also think Anthony Taylor is one of those referees that likes to have an influence on the game, and I think
he loves the moment.
Like if
worst quality in
if
a
you're
ref.
a small club and you're playing
He
against a
loves the
big
moment,
club
dude.
and Anthony Taylor is your ref, like you better be so happy.
Yeah,
'cause
every
you know
time
you're gonna
Arsenal
get-
plays Chelsea.
Every time Liverpool plays Chelsea.
Yep.
Remember
Oh,
Reece James handball connected
the red?
connected to his body.
Bro,
Oh my
Red, but no
it's-
penalty.
Bro, it's that the
Red, but
moment
no
that
penalty.
the moment that VAR intervened and I knew that Anthony Taylor was going to the monitor,
Yeah.
I knew that he was going to give
it's
it because
bad
he wants that attention. He wants that moment of actually doing that. That's just like he
That's
loves
him.
the shithousery of it and he doesn't even try to hide from it. It's like so apparent.
So bad.
No, I get it, man. Mecca fans, that's our Premier League weekend recap. We are now going to transition really quick into MLS. And you know
Let's
us,
go,
boys.
baby.
Come
We are
on,
St.
Sensei.
Louis, born and raised in our STL city, our 3-0
Let's
inaugural
go.
season. I'm juiced. I am juiced.
I never thought I would
right
love
now.
MLS more than I do at the moment. Never thought.
It's unbelievable. Like, we're coming from behind in every game and winning.
Yeah,
The
bro.
spirit of the team is at an all-time high,
Against
as
good
high as it could be.
sides.
That's what I was gonna say. It's against good teams too. Like that's the part. It's not where we're going and finding some bottom feeders. It's we're getting fed to the dogs and we're coming out alive.
Yeah, we are.
It's unbelievable to watch, man. And it's our style of play. We're not a possession, we're not a build out of the back team, man. We're a counter press, in your face, run like wolves, win the ball high up the field and go. And it is electric because we've got some dogs in this team, man, and hard workers, and they're doing a damn good job. And for those of you who don't know, we will be playing back in St. Louis. It's going to be an absolute madhouse downtown Saturday night. We've got San Jose coming to town. If we win this game, we are the first club in the history of the MLS to go 4-0 at the start of their inaugural season. Fellas, how do we feel about this, man?
Buzzing.
Unreal.
I think
Great.
Absolutely
just so everyone knows, it's coming off a 2-1 win against Portland Timbers on Saturday. Last minute goal by, was it Shroud who scored the game winner, or was
Ebert.
Ebert, yes. But I love it. I think St. Louis has kind of been wanting this for a very long time, and we're kind of reaping the rewards right now, and I absolutely love it. And I also love that it's I know we keep saying it, but it's a team that all of us can support, and all of us kind of back, so it's fun to talk about.
I love that we scored our own goals this week.
Yes.
We didn't rely on like a defense to gift us anything or anything like that. But I love the fight. We fucked up on the first goal. It was just a completely mismarking. Miggy Perez should have jumped with the guy. He didn't. Let the guy score a header. And when you concede that early into a game, it can go one of two ways. You can completely implode. Actually, like Winks, I think, messaged our group saying like, "Are we going to have another Liverpool United situation, lose 7-0 here?" But we could implode or we can rally back like we did. And by no means was it pretty. We missed a lot of passes. We weren't connected as well as maybe we could have been, but we did fight back. And I love seeing that. It makes me so excited and so proud of this team. Can't wait to watch again on Saturday. It's going to be great.
It's going to be amazing.
Those of you that listen to the Mecca Moments, kind of the way that I dove and sort of described this team in terms of expectations, it's tough, of course, like I said, that it's tough to have expectations for a team when you've never seen them play. But one of the main things that I've kind of wanted to see us build as a mentality, and you can already see that that's apparent 3 games in, going down, not blinking at all, in tough environments, like in arguably 2 of the toughest places to play in the entire MLS. And heads didn't go down, work rate stayed up, created their own chances, goals were scored. I mean, for me, that like I'm falling more in love with Lowen in the middle. Like he just sort of runs the game with us. Like Butch said, we're not very much of a possession-based team, but he's the one that like when the ball's on his foot, he seems to make things happen. He seems to make us tick. I think the other one I just have to mention is Ebert. Like I read something the other day that a very cool stat is obviously Hoove mentioned a little bit, but he went from playing at Missouri State, and then between St. Louis City 2 and St. Louis City, the MLS team, between last year and this year, he hasn't played all but 4 minutes for both teams.
Man.
Which is absolutely insane. So he was a mainstay in the City 2 team, earned his way to the first team, obviously with Nielsen still out, who is a designated player, has caps for Sweden, and Ebert's playing in his place. And this team's still 3-0. So have to give him just a shout out because kind of what he's doing is a little bit unbelievable. So he definitely deserves his praise. And then he got the goal, and his celebration was so fucking genuine because he he didn't know if it was going in, and all of a sudden, it kind of trickled in, and he didn't know what to do, and just pumped his fist. It was awesome.
You know what that is? It's a center back scoring a goal.
Yeah,
that's me, bro.
Yeah, dude, I am all
swag when we score.
Yeah, I love that.
100%, man. An amazing moment for our city, for us as fans, and we are buzzed for this Saturday when we have San Jose Earthquakes come to City Park. It's going to be an absolute madhouse. Let's transition now into the recap from last week. We're going to time travel back to last week here. We've got the UEFA Champions League recap and the UEFA Europa League recap. Let's start with the Champions League real quick, actually. Those games did take place before the Europa League games did. Chelsea with a huge, huge win over Dortmund, advancing 2-1 on aggregate. And like we talked about earlier, this is a Dortmund team that is just on another level right now in the Bundesliga. Chelsea fans, you got to be freaking excited because you're one chance at a trophy. You're still in it, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, huge shock, to be quite honest. Shocked. Extremely happy for the side. To see Raheem Sterling and Kai as your goal scorers was a little shocking, but it's even though it's a pen, it seems like Kai wants to score goals in Champions League and nothing else. It's for whatever reason, that's all he does, which is cool to some degree, but man, it was for the most part of the game, I was not super positive. Even being up 1 and then up 2 just didn't feel much positivity, but hey man, a win's a win, move on to the next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gotta mention that Kai missed the first pen.
Yeah, bro. I wasn't gonna say anything.
Can we talk about that rule real quick? Does anybody understand the run in the box after the penalty rule. I know Nick was trying to explain it, but I still don't fucking understand how that was called back.
Basically, and I didn't do my research. This is just what I was hearing from the announcers and what I was interpreting is they were pretty much saying that there was a group of people that impeded into the box once the ball was kicked. But the reason that it was called back was because on the deflection, it didn't hit a goalie or another player. It hit the post, and it came back and hit someone who was in the box. And that is why it was called for a lesser player. I know, Henry, you said he wasn't even in the box, but that's what I interpreted. Hey, if I was Dortmund, I would be pissed off, but we move and we advance, so I'm not too disappointed. I did also want to say, I know, Henry, you probably want to mention something about that call, but I did want to say that I have receipts. Last podcast, every single person said Dortmund would advance. I said we would advance 2-0. So just wanted to give that shout. I think this is kind of our last competition, and we're kind of all in on it, so I'm interested to see where we go. But sorry, you can go back.
Give me the Potter in or out. Like, does that have to be long explanation? Potter's got that was a massive win. Got the boys 3 wins on the bounce. Playing with some fight on the bounce.
I still say Potter out, man.
Yeah,
he hasn't done enough for me to get there yet.
Yeah,
like it's a continual effort. He's making strides. He's putting in the work.
You guys can have Potter tattoos on your back.
Absolutely not.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, big.
When he won it,
you were still a new fan then.
Yeah, but I was never Tuchel out.
You were still learning who Tuchel was at that point.
No, he immediately came into the side, implemented his style, and changed the way we played. I haven't seen that from Potter yet.
No, but a huge win for Chelsea, and we'll move on real quick here. Tottenham Hotspur actually got knocked out by AC Milan. They had a really stale 0-0 draw in the second leg, in which AC Milan advanced 1-0 on aggregate. Big win for the Italian club. Got to be young Goove Hooves got to be disappointed that they didn't get something out of this game. I mean, that was their last shot at a trophy. You would have at least expected a Tottenham side with that amount of talent to have gotten through to the quarterfinals. I know he's not here to defend himself, but just pretty disappointing all around for the English club. And then
it's an allergy.
Yeah, I think the roller coaster statement that he keeps saying is so true.
An allergy, dude.
They some games they're great, some games they're awful. So yeah, I think
sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Literally. I texted it to you guys. St. Louis City's winning a trophy before Tottenham.
Facts.
Oh God.
I copied that. I copied that text and sent it to every other group chat that I'm in with like any of my indoor teams or anything.
I love it.
And it was a hit.
That's funny, bro. Another really crazy game. Bayern Munich knocks out PSG. They hold PSG to 0 goals across 2 legs, 3-0 on aggregate. Extremely alarming. Alarm bells have to be going off in Paris right now because they have blown so much money on this quote-unquote project of theirs. Their project is centered, emphasized on we want the Champions League. We're tired of winning the league. We've won it 10, 11 years out of the last 12. We're ready for the big step. And then once again, they get there and they choke. They had their injuries. Neymar was not playing in these 2 ties. I do think he would have influenced the game. He's one of the best players of all time, in my opinion. But Bayern Munich, I explained this to a coworker. They are a well-oiled machine. There's no superstar. There's nobody that's all about the individual glory. It is literally a machine, and they are there. Team unity. We're going to get the job done. We're going to do it for each other. And that's what we saw from Bayern Munich.
I think, yeah, but you just hit the nail on the head. I think what you saw a properly run football club that is Bayern Munich. Superstars, but every single person on that team knows their role, plays their role, knows what they're supposed to do. And it's quite the polar opposite with Real Madrid. Like, I think it's a poorly run club, a bunch of superstars, and how rarely do we ever see a team full of superstars work out in soccer? Like, even if you go back to the Galacticos that were Real Madrid, that team drastically underachieved for the stars that were on that team. And we're seeing the same thing with Real Madrid. Like, Messi and Mbappe are 2 players that can drastically influence the game. But when they don't have the ball, they don't drastically influence the game, and you're essentially down 2 guys. And obviously we know Messi's the GOAT. But I think the thing that you see with Mbappe is that he doesn't like to work defensively. He only likes to work in the moments that truthfully benefit him. He's not a guy that works for the team, and he has so much power within that Real Madrid team. So I think that locker room with all of that ego, like it seems like that's not a team that's playing with unity. We've seen the way that they've dropped points in the French league. And I think that showed on display against Bayern. Like they thought they could just show up and the superstars were going to step up in the big moment. And the exact opposite happened. And Bayern Munich slapped them square in the face.
100%. 100%. I think you hit the nail on the coffin. I told this to somebody. I think Mbappe is a lazy player. I think he's a phenomenal player. I think he's a superstar. He's a lazy player.
Yep.
There's no excuse for a 24-year-old. You have your whole future ahead of you to not get back and work defensively when you have a 35-year-old aging Messi who has earned the right for his players to run for him after everything he's achieved in this sport. I was watching that game, and I was so disappointed in Mbappe's just body language. It was really, really poor to watch.
Yeah,
that was
that's him. I mean, that's the reality of just him as a superstar. Unbelievable player when he's on, but is the ego too big for PSG? I think so.
Yeah. And there could be alarm bells in Paris this summer, with Mbappe, them getting knocked out. Mbappe could be on the way to Real Madrid. You never know what's going to happen.
Now, would I take him at United? Absolutely.
I was going to say, I think he might leave.
He could be on the way out, man.
I was reading rumors of Zidane to PSG, though, which I don't know how much that would help him, but that would be pretty sick.
I think that could save the club. I think Zidane is top drawer. He showed it at Real Madrid. I think he would save the club because, like you said, Dobes, I think they're a poorly run organization.
Yep.
Their owners have no idea what they're doing, and it's just going downhill. So
you want to know you know who their owners are? Qatar. I'm going to buy United. So we'll see.
Crazy result. Let's go ahead and shift over gears here to the Europa League. Very, very big draw for Sporting Lisbon. A 2-2 draw with Arsenal. Back and forth game. Wings, go ahead and break this down for us, man. I was a little surprised at the result.
But did you just kind of skip over your 5-2 result against Real Madrid?
Brother,
we already covered that, bro. That was 2 weeks ago.
That was 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah, that.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to remind you that you play again this week, and that's what you got. Sorry. Keep going.
We'll get there, brother. I got you. I appreciate you, though.
Yeah, just.
Can I go, Nick?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, just making sure. Yeah, I honestly I don't have a whole lot to say about this. Only 6 of our big dogs started. Odegaard wasn't even on the bench here. Luckily, we caught an own goal in the second half, but I'll take 2 goals away heading into the second leg, at the Emirates. Kiwior was a bit shaky for me. I know that Henry had mentioned that too, but, I'm going to take that with a grain of salt. It was his first Premier League start, for Arsenal. So I think that the good thing is with Crystal Palace at the weekend and them being in the kind of shape they are, I think this is the perfect situation for us to be able to play more of our big dogs and make sure we get a result at home and then, still be able to play those guys or maybe, a few of the better reserves against Palace at the weekend. So I'm really not too worried about it. Again, 2 goals away is the most important part here for me. Own goal or not, I'll take that.
No, I
Perfect
think you're
result
spot
for you
on.
guys. Yeah, perfect result. Like 2-2 at home, not playing the dogs, give the guys a rest, and you see how it benefited you guys at Fulham.
Mhm.
And now you can play the dogs at home, which has been a fortress. So definitely it's going to be tough for Sporting to even come out with anything. So Arteta played it perfectly. We talked about this last pod is how is he going to play it? And it was a masterstroke.
Absolutely. Yeah, if I had to pick a winner to advance through here, I'm betting the house on the Gooners, 100%.
If you're a betting man.
Bet on the Gooners. And lastly, Europa League recap from this past Thursday. Manchester United, a huge 4-1 win over Real Betis, who, let me tell you, people, they are no slouch. That is a very, very well-run club. They spend their money well. They have a great manager, and Manchester United absolutely walked them off the field. Huge win for you guys.
Had to after their embarrassment, I think. I think that was just like coming. I personally think.
It's where you did are you guys worried? And why we both said absolutely not.
Yeah.
Because It is like it's the exact game we expected. I mean, I think Ten Hag doing exactly what he should have done. He went with the exact same starting 11 that started Sunday against Liverpool. And I think instantly right afterwards, I mean, in the past, we would have seen, you know, United post on Instagram the team winning photos of people winning in training to try to post the positive vibes. And Ten Hag has said, no, what happened Sunday was shit and it can't happen again. And realistically, the game could have been 10. We could have had 10. And you saw after it was even 4-1, Ten Hag was still yelling at the players going, we need 3 more. Like let's get to 7. We need 3 more fucking goals. So just like Butch said, Betis is a tough side to play. And we have historically had so much trouble when it comes to playing against Spanish sides who are decent at keeping the ball. And Betis came off tying Real Madrid, which is a massive result for them. And so we knew this Betis team wasn't going to be a pushover by any means. And so to get 4 past them at home, to go away and be able to kind of play, I wouldn't say the second team, but give some guys some minutes that probably wouldn't get some if it was closer. So all in all, perfect result.
Yeah, and I do want to shout out Bruno Fernandes. I mean, he
Good
came
response.
back. He came back with a great response, and I mean, he was the man of the match handedly. He was just everywhere. Scored, had an assist. Technically could have had 2 assists, but they didn't count one of them. But huge on him. And a great feel good moment was Weghorst's goal. I don't know, if you all got to see the video. It was his first goal scoring at home. Scored, ran to the corner, crying in tears because of just how much it means to him, and you can just tell how much he loves the club. Dobes and I say it every week that we love him. It was so good to see him score that goal. I was really impressed with that performance. De Gea, his distribution was terrible. I think like the worst I've ever seen his distribution.
You just put that on a repeat.
Yeah, it was just weird. It was just super weird the entire game, and then he was fine in distribution the game after. So,
Does he need to go to kickball training with Mendy?
Dude, maybe. You just never know. But yeah, great performance out of them. I feel really confident going into Thursday. So looking forward to it.
I will say the reaction from Weghorst or whatever, however you pronounce his name, like the fist pump to the crowd. Yeah, I thought that was all sick. It showed that he really cares about the club.
Well, just a guy that, like I texted you guys, never in his wildest dreams ever thought he'd be playing at Man United. And it's no knock on him by any means. It's just like, because the Glazers are so shit that he's here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he got to
United
score
didn't spend money, so they bought him.
Yeah, at the Stretford end, like in front of that crowd. And, the loudest roar of the night was after he scored, and it was the 4th goal of the game. It didn't really mean anything. So very, very cool moment and super gassed for him.
100%, man. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, if I was a betting man, I would put all the money down on Manchester United advancing out of this tie and into the next
betting
one.
man.
But I am not
Parlay.
I'm not.
That's what I like to hear, Lucas.
Goal line or straight up, Butchie?
I don't know any word you're talking about, sir. I don't speak this language. But let's go ahead and transition now into this week's Champions League fixtures. We've got 4 games, and we're going to start it off with the first game on Tuesday, which is FC Porto against Inter Milan. Porto's at home. They are down a goal on aggregate. Inter Milan won the first leg 1-0. This is a very close tie. And I predicted Porto to go through earlier before the first leg even took place, and I'm still sticking with them. I think Porto's going to go through.
I think this is going to be fiery, and I am kind of excited to watch this game. Porto, I don't know. To be fair, I haven't watched too much of them as much I've watched Milan, which isn't that much, but I have watched some of Inter Milan, so I think I would have to pick them, especially 1-0 up, just kind of keep a tie or a win. I think I'm taking them.
I'm going Porto just because Lukaku plays for Inter.
Let's
go.
That is exactly what I was going to say.
That sounded personal.
I hate Lukaku, dude.
Same, bro.
I'm gonna go Porto as well, just because I think we've talked a lot about how these Portuguese teams they come to fight, and I think we need one of them just to go the distance. I think it is going to be a bloodbath, like you said, Nick. I think it's going to be electric, and I know, like, as a neutral in this game, I'm going to be stoked to watch it. It's going to be awesome.
It is. Winksy, what's your prediction here?
I think it'll be a tie. And with that being said, Inter will move on. I think that I could see them both getting 1 or 2, but with the aggregate, I'm going to go with Inter. But, you could flip a coin. I agree with your take, Hen.
100%, man. 100%. And the second game on Tuesday will be Manchester City against Red Bull Leipzig. The game is in England, which is a huge, huge advantage for Manchester City.
The bouncy house that is the Etihad.
The underappreciated attendance, shall I quote? So Manchester City at home, this is a game where I think the first leg, Leipzig did an amazing job at keeping it level going into the second leg. They did an amazing job to get a draw. Unfortunately, they're away from home and they have to face Manchester City, Pep Guardiola, right? So I'm going to go Manchester City advancing here. I just think that being at home will give them an advantage. I think we might see a better version of Haaland. I think he's hit a slump the last month. He's probably pissed off at the world, pissed off at himself that the goals aren't really going in like they were. Maybe he breaks out this week. Who knows? But that's my pick.
I'd love to see Nkunku just ball. He's been in and out of the lineup coming back from injury. I'd love to see them do it. It would just make my heart so happy to see City get bounced at this stage of the game or this stage of the tournament. I don't know if they will. Obviously, at home is a different gravy, but I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I feel like we're all rooting for Leipzig here. At least I'm assuming we all are. But City is City, and yeah, like you guys touched on, at home will make a huge difference.
I was going to say, and also I think City has this mentality that the Champions League this year for them is almost a must-win. I feel like that's kind of how their fan base is. So I think they're putting kind of all their marbles in this. So I couldn't see them losing at home.
It was that way for PSG too, my friend.
That is true, but I mean, City's a little more proven. Their coach has been there a little bit more, implemented his style, brought in people he wants, has one of the best strikers in the world. So, yeah.
I'm going Leipzig.
I love the Dobes.
I love that. It's just because
that's sheer
100%. Not even that. It's like Nick's talking about all these City fans. There's gonna be 13 people at the Etihad on Wednesday, but I also think you guys are underestimating what Leipzig can do. I don't know if you guys watched City play at the weekend, and they squeaked past Palace on a pen. Who I would take Leipzig 10 times out of 10 over Crystal Palace. And I think this is one of those teams that they just have that mentality where they're always tough to play in these Champions League games. There's a reason that they're consistently playing deep in the Champions League. And there's a reason that they consistently churn out players that go on to continue to play in the Champions League. City is City. This is pressure's on. Pressure is 1,000% on Pep, and it's 1,000% on City. But I do think Leipzig has the ability to go on in 2-1. Fine. I think that's you guys might think I'm crazy, but I also think that's very doable. People will be shocked, but also I've said it consistently that City hasn't been the City of old, and I don't know why.
That?
Yeah, sure, 100%. What do you?
Okay,
odds will be fantastic.
Plus 775 to win.
Yeah, sure.
No, that's how I know if Dobes is really behind
legit, or if he's just talking shit.
Yeah. Than this City team is, and those City teams have consistently gotten bounced from the Champions League. They may get through, but I don't think they're going to win this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I personally think it's going to be City. Would love to see Leipzig win. I'm hoping that at least as a non-partial viewer, that kind of what we predicted the first game was goals. Yep. That's what I want to see. I want to see each team scored 3 or more, man. I want to see them run it up. I'd rather see a game with 7 goals, but yeah, 1-1 was kind of a sleeper last time. Leipzig did a really good job putting City on hold. I think it'd be really interesting if both teams can start putting the ball in the net a lot more.
Yeah.
So Leipzig in the over.
Yeah.
Once again, chat, I am not an affiliate. I have no idea what they're talking about. Anyway, the next game we've got Napoli-Frankfurt. The game is in Naples. They are up 2-0 on aggregate. I'm going to be honest. I have a feeling we're going to be unanimous. We have been told, I've seen it on social media. People are saying Napoli is the best team in the world this year, and it's hard to disagree with what they've done. So I'm going to go Napoli. They're going to rout this. I think that I could see them scoring 3. I could see them adding 3 more to the aggregate here. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
they're
there's
hot
no
right now.
shot Frankfurt wins.
Yeah, and I just don't think that there's much to say about it. They're so informed. And what's also kind of wild is like I'm looking at all of the teams left in the Champions League. I throw Napoli against any of them, dude.
Oh,
like
yeah.
they're
Anybody.
so
Against Chelsea?
sick. What? Yeah, bro. Dude,
My
Napoli is so sick.
As he's sipping on that bourbon.
Especially against Chelsea.
Yeah, twice against Chelsea.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're really good. I can't imagine Frankfurt does anything.
I think I've
This
mentioned
is-
it multiple times. Momentum and teams that are hot. I think Napoli's like firing on all cylinders right now, playing some really good football. So I don't see Frankfurt being the stopping force in that momentum.
Yeah, Napoli's going to cruise. I mean, I think I was looking at earlier. Frankfurt dropped, like they've tied once and lost out of their last 4, like in terrible form. I mean, yes, one of those is to Napoli, but they've been in terrible form. And Frankfurt, or excuse me, and Napoli, as we've all said, arguably the best team in the world on their day. Been arguably the most consistent team in the world. Osterman, unbelievable. Not even going to pretend to announce the guy that starts with the K's name. Absolutely unbelievable. I think he's got like 17 goals and 17 assists on the year. So Napoli are a well-oiled machine at the moment, and they're going to happily cruise through.
Absolutely. That's our first unanimous one, chat, right there. Lastly, oh Jesus Christ. We've got Liverpool and Real Madrid. The game is in Madrid, and Real Madrid's up 5-2 on aggregate.
Butchie, I think we'll have another unanimous right here.
Our second unanimous.
Yeah.
Second unanimous.
No, I mean, in all honesty, as a Liverpool fan here, like I'm just hoping and praying like for an absolute miracle. Like we've seen miracles happen. Barcelona coming back 4-0 down to PSG, winning 6-1 in the Camp Nou. Again, that's Barcelona though, right? They had Messi. When you have Messi,
Don't you compare this Liverpool team to that Barcelona team, bro?
Spin zone. They call me spin zone Bucci. What you mean, dude? All right, so honestly, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I'm not showing any bias towards my club. Like I genuinely think that the game was settled in the first leg. I think it would take a literal miracle for us to come back. The game is in Real Madrid against the defending champions of this competition, the most experienced team in the world with veterans everywhere. It would be impossible. Especially after the performance that we saw against Bournemouth on Saturday from Liverpool. Oh my God. If we show up like that, we're going to lose 5-0 and it's going to be 10-2 on aggregate. So I got to go Real Madrid, sadly, as much as it hurts. I'm going honest opinion.
Unanimous decision then, right?
100%.
Yeah. Madrid 1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even bet, and I'd throw money on Madrid here.
Dang, that hurts, man. That's really hard. That was really hard for me to say. I just want to let you guys know that.
I'm proud of you, buddy.
You're muted, dog.
Thank you. The last subject we're going to touch into before Factor Cap, we're going to have the weekly flowers, showers, and Poppy James Wine is going to break that down for us. James, give us your flowers of the week.
Flowers of the week. I have 2. Was hoping you wouldn't bring up Tim Ream. I wanted to give flowers to him for what he did before the game. I really appreciated that. Just being a good guy overall. Second one's Leandro Trossard. I think you're setting history. I think, at least for me, it was a dominant performance in the first half. And then transitioning into showers, it really killed me because I had a real toss-up of who I wanted to give it to. It's really 2 different guys. They happen to be on the pitch at the same exact time, and they happen to be face-to-face at one time. One of them is Casemiro, and one of them is Anthony Taylor, and it's really hard to decide for me which one I want to give to.
Oh, my God.
On one hand, you have Casemiro, who is, from what I hear, world-class and is so vital to your team, yet misses 7 out of the last 10 games out of suspension. Is really tough for me to say world-class and all that when you're proving to be more volatile to your team than potentially helpful over a 10-game span. And then you also have Anthony Taylor, who has a big-time history of just absolutely fucking teams. Whoever he wants to win will win that game. and it's been proven multiple times. So I'll let you guys take that however you want to. Those are my 4 guys for the
Jake,
week
I
that are
love
getting
you.
I
flowers
like
and
those.
showers.
Jake, I love you, bro.
That's so funny.
Was that the fact? Was that
Jake-
the factor cap session? Because that's a cap, bro.
Yeah. Jake had a 4.5-hour drive home today and came up with Casemiro for showers. It's unreal.
I mean, it brings up a very valid point.
That is a valid point.
We also were in 17th without him.
Yeah.
True.
That's not a bad shout. But Jake,
True.
awesome
We'll see in
job
4
with
games how he does.
Awesome job with the flowers and showers. I love the picks. We're going to finish it off here with the favorite segment of the Factor Cap by many people.
Who?
Oh, wow. Botched that.
Botched it. The favorite segment of the Mecca Banter podcast, the Factor Cap. Man, I need some coffee in this, man. All right.
Man.
So, honestly, I've been thinking about this, and I watched the game. And it has nothing. It is not a United player. I promise. We're not doing United. It's none of our clubs. Okay. I watched the United game and I'm like, God, this guy's unbelievable. So my factor cap is this: James Ward-Prowse leaves Southampton in the summer, and what club does he go to if it's a fact? What club fits James Ward-Prowse the best?
Southampton.
Dobes, I'm gonna start with you.
Cap.
You think he stays?
I do think he stays. I mean, James Ward-Prowse is arguably, in my opinion, the best free kick taker of all time, or should be up there at least in that conversation. I don't think, just thinking about the big 6 teams, I'm not sure which team that he walks into. If I look at Chelsea, I don't think he is in the first 3 at Chelsea in that midfield. If he walks into United, I don't think he's in the first 3. Same thing with Arsenal. I mean, I think he could probably walk into Spurs, but like, again, why the fuck would he go at Spurs? You can already not win trophies at Southampton. So like, I think he's Southampton through and through also. I just think he's one of those players that loves that club more than anything in the world. Like, he wants to keep them up, and I think he wants to continue keeping this team in the Premier League. It may hinder his ability to like play for England and continue to progress in his career, but I just think he's one of those players, and there's very few of them, like your Toddies, your Skulls, your guys that stay for one club, and he epitomizes that to me.
Yeah. Henry, let's go to you.
I actually go back and forth on this like weekly. I love James Ward-Prowse. I think he's awesome. I think that he was really hard done not to get selected for the Euros or the World Cup. As much as I want to say that he'll stay at Southampton, it's just hard for me to like look at a player like that, which, you know, it's not like he's $100 million player, but I think he'd comfortably be like a, $35-40 million player. When you go down, you don't keep $40 million players. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to like find cash, and it's like a business transaction. I don't think that he'd go to a big 6. If he did, I think he'd go to Tottenham. Truthfully, I do think that he would go there. But for whatever reason, I could see him being like a Leicester replacement for James Maddison if James Maddison got out of Leicester. Which, they're also towards the relegation zone, so I don't think it'd be a massive step up. I could see maybe West Ham, but like I don't know if I see like a big club. I want the Southampton narrative to stay. I want him to stay. I just don't know from a business decision if you hold on to a player like that when you're relegated.
Yeah.
I think that's a great shout, Henry. And I probably agree with you. And kind of piggybacking off what Dobe said as well. I can't see him walking in anywhere in a top 6, but I definitely could see a business transaction from Southampton trying to get some money out of him. Because, I mean, he is getting old. He is kind of on his down. How old is James Ward-Prowse? Does anyone know off the top of their head?
28. Come on. Do I know, son?
What's his birthday, dog?
Yeah, what's his birthday?
What's his birthday?
He's in November.
I swear to God, someone look that up. I know it's right. We don't even need to look that up.
28 November.
I agree with what Henry was kind of saying as well. Like, I just don't see it in a big 6 club. To be fair, you guys were saying Tottenham, and this is not a diss at you, Winks, but like I could also see him fitting in at Arsenal, like a depth person. Like, I'm not saying like he would come in and change it, but I just could see him in an Arsenal side as well. That would be the only shot I had, but I don't see him going like anywhere crazy. I could also. What do you guys think he would leave, like England, and go to somewhere a different league? I couldn't
I don't
see him
think
doing
so.
that either.
I don't think so.
I don't know if I see him in a top 6, so I would have to say Cap.
Okay. Winksy.
Winks,
Oh, you're muted,
man.
man.
Oh no, Winks, your audio, brother.
No.
All good, bro. All good, brother.
Unfortunately.
Well, oh yeah, you're good. We'll go to
Jake,
James
go ahead.
here. We'll go back to
I'll
Winks.
go.
We'll go to James here.
I'll go ahead. Yeah, I want to say that he's going to leave. My thing is, again, with relegation, like, you have to get any dollar amounts back, anything that you can whenever you're getting dropped down to make business still come in and make dollars for your club. I think what scares me a little bit is to see what his price tag becomes because of that. Because while you guys value him somewhere between 30 to 40 million, after relegation, like, no player remains at his same value after relegation. Right.
Yeah.
So, like, that's the part that sucks, is, like, realistically, I don't see why he wouldn't be a $30 to $40 million player, go in, be an impact even as a sub at certain spots. I have no clue where he would go, to be completely honest. I mean, yeah, I have no idea where he would go, but I see him leaving personally.
Yeah, typically
if they get relegated.
Isn't it one of those things that if they get relegated, like your value automatically drops to like 25 million or something, where like players get like what's it called? Like buyout clauses, transfer like release clauses where it's 25 million.
It's also, you got to think of the fact that the clubs just like they're under the gun. Like they have
Yeah.
zero negotiating power, and that's like the biggest factor which drives the price straight down.
Yeah. 100%. All right, Winksy.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry about that. To touch on Nick's point, I don't think he comes to our team. Like you said, he wouldn't get in the side, and I think that Arteta is also targeting other midfielders already, mainly Declan Rice in the summer. So with that being said, if he were to leave, I could see him going to a place like West Ham and replacing Declan. But he's living and breathing, so he's probably linked to United, and as soon as they put up his price tag, I'm sure Chelsea will get in on that action too.
I was literally going to make the same joke, which is awesome. That's just great.
So, if he were to leave, I'm going to say Cap. I don't think he will, but if he were to leave, my picks would be United, Chelsea, or West Ham.
It's a good shout. I'm going to be honest. I think it's a fact if they get relegated, and I have 3 clubs in mind. Number 1 is Spurs. Number 2 is Fulham.
Nice. Great shout.
I think he would fit in well at Fulham, and I think that they could use a guy like him. His experience, his talent. Let's be honest, Fulham's now a top 8 Prem club right now, man. Like, that's a good move.
Would be dope.
It's a great move for him. And then lastly, I honestly think he could come to Liverpool. I think he could be he's not going to start maybe, but he could be a guy that could help our club. Dude,
James Milner.
The rejuvenation of the midfield, man.
Bro, we need a midfield.
The fall of Liverpool.
Okay, you're just sitting here saying that you think Ward-Prowse is an absolute baller, and you're like saying it's a fall for us if we sign him.
I do think he's a baller. I don't think he's a guy that's going to be in a midfield that's going to win the Prem.
Bro,
Maybe I think he's not a club that's ever going to win.
I think, boy, I'm starting to get tilted, bro. Okay. All right. Listen, I just thought we need